Like, my opinions are my opinions. Everyone's entitled to have their own. How I think, like, I'm a big firearms guy. Who's arguing with me about it? Because I say to them the same exact thing. Okay, why are you a big firearms guy? 1939, 1937. Should we keep going?
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Mislabeled, our final one in LA. Very special guest here with us. But before we get to our guest, first of all, Zach, how you doing?
Doing good, man.
Doing good. Awesome.
It's been a long haul here in LA.
It has been. We're really working hard. With that being said, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, E&A Tax Advisors. In very short, E&A Tax Advisors helps you limit your tax liability. Saved me a ton of money. Got things a lot of my accountants didn't. So definitely, if you're looking to structure your finances in a specific way using different financial instruments that could help you limit your tax liability, definitely a group to reach out to. I use them personally and they helped me. You can reach out to Ellie at certifiedtaxadvisors.com. Again, that's ELI at certifiedtaxadvisors.com. Okay. By the way, I'm getting really good at that sponsorship endorsement.
Unbelievable.
Gotten considerably better since we started that. So anyone who wants me to sponsor, I'll sell Remi, I'll sell the shit out of anyone who sponsors with me.
Cool.
That's pretty neat, no?
You did a great job.
Awesome. Good. And by the way, no paper, no script.
Nothing. That was a live read without any paper.
Correct, yeah. All right, we have a very special guest with us today, Remi Franklin, who, I'll be honest, Zach said someone sent your profile to us, your handle. I don't even know how.
Yeah, my boy Nolan was like, check this guy out.
Oh,
if you're going to be in LA, check him out.
Ah, cool. So that's how it happened. But either way, I have obviously, like, the second Zach sends me something, I just reach out. I looked at your page. I'm like, yep, this is someone we definitely want to speak to. So, first of all, thank you for your time.
Of course.
Here. I greatly appreciate it. I wanted to ask you, I did some research on you. It's a little bit vague. Clearly, you're very involved in the celebrity world. You're also very involved in the mental health world. You are a serial entrepreneur, it seems. A lot going on. In your words, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Yeah, I am a Jew. Start
Hell
there,
yeah.
first and foremost.
Love it.
It's the most important thing I think anyone needs to know. I think you can probably see my Zionism from space. To the point where I strap a bulletproof vest on and walk the Orthodox to and from shul on the weekends when they need, if there's any flare-ups. So I put the whole crew to do that. That'd be like one of my things. Outside of that, I was a talent agent for quite a few years, and I left and started my agency, which is called Light Switch. We do creative marketing, design, branding, production, soup to nuts, either for current existing brands or we build our own, or we build with people. I train Jiujitsu, Muay Thai, boxing. I do a lot of dog rescue. I do a lot of work in every area. I really am just a very different human than most. Also, I would say I'm a religious Jew, but I don't. I pull it on my terms. And if I'm sorry that my big puppy is making a lot of noise in the back.
No, I don't think it's that much noise. I wasn't even
it's fine.
imagining. Okay, obviously a lot down back there. First of all, the first thing you said is super interesting. You said that you you put on a bulletproof vest. When is that? Here?
Yeah, it's here. We do it here and all over LA or New York or places that people need us. It's a bunch of God, he's so loud right now. It's a bunch of very few Jews and a bunch of non-Jews, mainly people from military, ex-military, foreign military service, jiu-jitsu guys, Muay Thai guys, and then people that just want to help.
Were you in the military yourself? You were not in the military. How did you grow up? Religiously.
I would say, like, if I were to give you a good example, we had a Christmas tree. It wasn't a Christmas tree. It was just a tree to kind of keep us all going together. I would say that's probably one of my favorite things, which I had no clue because I still don't understand Christmas. Although I did throw a Christmas party for people that didn't have a place to go since we were going to do anything on Christmas. A bunch of Jews got together and did it.
Oh, wow.
Actually did. Schonstein sponsored it.
Oh, really?
Along with Doc Johnson. Shout out to them because they gave a lot of people who couldn't go home or didn't have a place to go. There were 60 people in here. 60. I cooked for everybody. Made a whole, it was awesome. It was a really fun day. I was exhausted after though. Like, it's the polar opposite of how we normally spend Christmas, which is, Chinese food. And
Yeah.
Which is more entertaining, but it was worth it. So back to the Shabbat Angels is what we're called. Actually, Shmaya Krinsky Rabbi Krinsky's son, dubbed it that. And then
Who's Rabbi Krinsky? Just
Rabbi Krinsky is essentially like he was the Rebbe's assistant.
Okay.
So he like kind of is one of the big dogs at 770.
Love it.
Great guy. But Shmaya works for Machin Israel and a bunch of other stuff. He's a great dude and a dear friend. But he did not grow up religious at all. I got bar mitzvah for money. Literally. I heard that people make a lot of money doing it. So I did it
It's a big cash cow.
Yeah, 100%.
You're lucky. I grew up like right wing, and I don't know if this happens all in the right wing, but I didn't make any money. My parents made the money. I don't know, like
That was jacked.
Really?
Shaq, they just.
No, that's fun.
I mean, my parents. I don't know if that's like a typical thing, but yeah, my parents was
I
like.
mean, I probably at the proper age would have kicked the shit out of my dad if I was a case. So, I mean, that's kind of his fault too, because he put my sister and I in training so young. So we've always been in martial arts.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Just may as well just jump in. First of all, before we get to that, actually, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Malibu, California, but then I
Malibu.
got sent away to boarding school in Switzerland.
Wow.
What age was that?
I got sent away at, I think, 13. Yeah.
But you were in martial arts. They probably were training you like young to be like in line. It sounds like
Come on, bro.
that didn't happen.
No. You think it would be the case, but when you're a child and certain things like so, part of the reason was I think it would have normally been, but my was a bunch of like extenuating circumstances. My parents were getting divorced. My dad had cancer, a bunch of things. So like it's very weird as a child to try to process your emotions.
Yeah, it makes
which
sense.
is why I'm very good at processing my emotions now. Because when you learn like at a very young age how to deal with it, it's a very like lonely place to be. So what do? You act out, right? So I acted out a lot through violence or trouble or other things like that. And then my dad was in remission, and he was like, "It's time to go." I think it was after I got into a fight. I came home and I told him I wanted to be a lifeguard and a professional surfer. A couple days later, I had a passport and a plane ticket. So that was it. So he's very much no nonsense. He's a lot. I think they ride the DNA like very similarly.
That's what I was going to ask you. Your dad sounds like he was a tough guy.
Dad's a tough guy. He was a music agent. Owned a bunch of record labels. But he's a tough son of a bitch.
Right.
Now I can take him because he's 78. Back then it was just like
He's still alive.
yeah, 100%.
Thank God. That's beautiful.
100%. It's the best.
So now you can deal with it. You can take it. But back then, I assume that was...
I mean, I think at the age of 17, you realize it was probably not the one to poke the bear anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But my mom's a bigger badass, to be honest with you. So
Really?
yeah, she's sick.
That's very cool.
I want to focus a little bit on the Shabbat Angels thing.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if someone's making something like that, that means you responded to some sort of need.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me a little bit about like why that started. What sort of thing?
Can I pause one thing? Sorry to interrupt. I just want... Can you explain? I don't know what Shabbat Angels are. So
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
this- maybe people-
Sure.
So
JDL.
yeah, to an extent where we can't legally call it that by any means or in any way. So I'll give you the background. I'll kind of explain. So when the Sushi Fumi incident took place, I'm not sure if you saw that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so in LA, there's such a rise in anti-Semitism in general that it's become problematic. And I spent a lot of time, my name's Remington Franklin. That's my English name, Naftali Halevi, if you want to get, technical on my real name, which is what I actually call it. But I spent a lot of time running away from it. So I think I compensated in like, trying to make sure people are safe. Because even as a kid, I'd see like black hats and everyone, and I'd be like, what the fuck are these people doing?
Yeah.
Excuse my language on that one.
No, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Great. So Sushi Fumi was the incident that kind of kicked it off. I told you like earlier that I'm not reactionary in the same sense, but like I felt like I had to do something. So David Schottenstein is actually the one who gave me a proper bar mitzvah. Sounds kind of crazy, but he flew me down in the middle of COVID and said, "Oh, you need to come here. This is going to give you the background." And I never put tefillin on, never done anything like that. And he did a surprise bar mitzvah. I had no idea what was going on. So after that, you got the lecture of like, "Oh, you need to step in and do the things." I was like, "Sure, it makes sense." So I started wrapping tefillin and paying attention. But I still like never really paid attention to the anti-Semitism. Like I told you, my name is Remington Franklin. I can grow a mustache and look Italian. I can speak quite a few languages. I can play the game. But at some point, you like have to wake up and be like, shit's got to stop. And you either are going to be like part of the correction, or you're going to be passive and part of the problem. So Sushi Fumi was an incident where a bunch of I'm not sure if they're Palestinian or Syrian or whatever, they were marching, and it was right around the Black Lives Matter movement. And people were coming down like during that whole time frame, right? But this was like right around there where during the Israeli, the last, I think it's 2021 Israeli-Palestinian conflict, like, it was going at it, and they were in the streets, and a group of Palestinians decided it was a good idea to pick a fight with some diners at Sushi Fumi who were Jewish.
We're just dying.
They were just eating. And it became like super aggressive. And actually an Arab guy is the one who defended the Jews. And then it became something. And then people in the community were getting scared and reaching out. And I finally just posted on my Instagram. I said, if you're scared to walk to shul on Shabbos, I'll walk with you. And my phone lit up. Well, mainly non-Jews who were like, what can we do to help? So like a majority of our crew are like not Jewish. I'd say 25% are Jewish, but it helps us to have the non-Jews there because like they can drive trucks, they can walk around. The rabbis are more comfortable. The Orthodox are more comfortable with that. I mean, I don't care in the sense of like, I drive my truck I drive my truck or a car or whatever, because like the rabbis at first were like, oh, it's a problem. And I literally went to them and I was like, do you want me to do this or not?
Right.
Like luckily I'm allowed to do this. Like,
Right. It's literally for Monsieur Nefesh.
It's in defense of
Human
people.
life. Yeah.
So that became like a big thing. And it just expanded. So first weekend we had crews all over the place. I think we had like 280. And then over the course of time, it was like
280 people.
Yeah, and between the Pico Robertson area and then La Brea, and then after that just kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing.
That's incredible.
So this whole sushi food, or this, I don't know how to pronounce it honestly.
What, the sushi store?
The sushi store that was here. This happened here.
Yes, it was on La Cienega.
Oh, got it. I misunderstood. Got it. Very, very
I think that like, it's interesting because we live in New York, me and Label and Shulm, and we always hear obviously that anti-Semitism is rising, but it's very different when like you hear about it, but then something actually happens, you know. And thank God I don't think I've experienced any of it, you know. I mean, in this sort of way with like actual violence. But
yeah, I mean, it's
a wake up call.
There's quite a few things that kind of like, you know, spread towards it. My jiu-jitsu coach, shout out by the way to Subconscious Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the #1 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in California and maybe potentially the world at some point. But my jiu-jitsu coach Brent and a lot of my teammates, they came out to like support, and Brent was like on it. But you know, like you have to realize, like realistically, they're seeing it more than like I guess in the Orthodox community, you hear part of it, you hear certain things, you do other things, and it's maybe a little different. But what I would say is like it's so like visible, and it's just not covered by the media, like the
anti-Semitism in general
at all. Like,
yeah,
it's not like they bask it under the fact I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm an anti-Zionist. Like, well, you're saying the same thing. Like, sorry, like it doesn't work that way. And then it just continues to pile on, and like the same tropes people are using. It's like you have I don't name any of the organizations because I don't want to give them any credence. I'm very much like different than everyone else. I think if someone's a mass shooter, you don't say their name. Like if someone's a serial killer, you should never say their name. That's their goal. So I don't think in these organizations,
I think that's actually brilliant.
That are trying to rile us up, you should ever use the name. But
you're saying you don't want to give them infamy because that's what they're after.
Exactly. They're after media hits. Like, you know, I did this interview with CBS News, like I'd say last year. And like, I didn't name any of the organizations. I just said, these are the type of people that are doing it. And this is what it is. And it's a big, big thing because I think everyone in the community is just in this giant fucking echo chamber. And the only one you're going to break it out is actually like trying to get allies. And a lot of the Jews are very scared of like these people coming into the community. We built a crazy system here between Maganam, which is a great security organization, and the Shabbat Angels, where like, the Orthodox Jews see one of my guys, they're like, come in for Shabbos, like come eat with us. Doesn't matter if they're Satmar,
right,
Haredi, Chabad, Orthodox, modern Orthodox, whatever, bells, like they loved the whole people because they had an understanding these people are not here, they're not driving out of fear. And I think unfortunately that fear is like, it's generational. So
yeah. I also love this because I feel like it brings Jews closer together. No matter what your background is, this is a cause everyone can get behind, and I think that's beautiful. I think we're
100%.
It's just nice to know someone has your back.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're in the world of it seems like there's too much divisiveness going on, even in the Jewish world, between each other. To have something that brings everyone closer together is a beautiful thing. You clearly, obviously, I've been very involved in all sorts of defensive-minded sports, right? Jiu-jitsu, boxing. I'm saying just like all these type of things. That started when again?
When I was a kid, but actually, funny enough, my main sport was water polo.
Was water polo.
Water polo.
That is pretty not Jewish of you.
Not at all.
What the hell is water polo?
I was waiting for this. This is good. Water polo is a sport where 7 people on a side, so six field players and one goalie on each side are in a 12-foot deep pool, and the goal is to score, and you're treading water the entire time. It's essentially the best way to put it. It's like rugby meets soccer, but in the pool.
Do you lift in general?
Yeah, I have a full gym outside.
How much do you lift?
Like how much weight?
Bench, yeah.
My bench is like 315.
Right. Okay. No, there's no way. Like based on everything you're saying, it had to be north
Yeah,
of
big
300.
squat and all that stuff. I mean, I can do probably 1 rep max of whatever. But
I honestly,
crazy.
what's more impressive to me is just water polo. Like to tread water that long.
That's what I was saying. That's why
I do it. I mean, also
Your core
like,
muscles are insane.
That's why I asked them what he lifts.
Also, it's not just that. Like, I forgot I signed up for the LA Marathon, the one that was in November that we tread from 2021. So it was 2020. It was the 2021 marathon. They pushed it to November. And my friend and I forgot we signed up. And I was drinking on a Thursday, and I got a notification like, pick up your badge. And I texted the group. I was like, anyone in? My one buddy who's as crazy as I am, Milan. He's a Serbian guy. He survived the war, so obviously just got like, he's a trainer. He works at a gym I used to go to called Studio. I texted him, I was like, do you want to do this? And he goes, he's like, literally like, let me do a test run real quick to make sure my body can handle a mile. So he literally threw on regular shoes, ran a mile around the block. He's okay, let's do it. And I said, fine, but I'm going to drink the night before just because I'm like, I don't really care. So we proceeded to run and drink the entire marathon. I don't know. I think I had like 13 beers and a couple shots of Jameson. And I stopped at Starbucks because I had to poop. And I did. I bought a coffee so I could poop in the middle of the marathon. And then I'm running the marathon with like with a venti iced coffee. And Milan's got like his drink too. And then he stopped to do the same where we got closer towards Century City. And I kept like looking for people with beer. But I called my friends and I was like, hey, have beers out. So like my jiu-jitsu coach had beers. My friend Tomek had beers. Like people were just handing me beers and shots left and right. And by the time I got done, I was like, they just processed right out.
You were also probably drunk.
I don't know if I was drunk. I was just running.
No, also when you're running, you're probably like,
That's you're sweating.
You're sweating out.
Putting
you're
it all out. Like,
Yeah.
it was
That's
pretty,
hilarious.
it was pretty funny.
Was that whole thing of drinking beer and just being hammered while you run like a shtick? Like what was that?
No, I just thought to myself, like, look, this is going to hurt regardless, so I might as well make it entertaining.
I also
did zero training. Realized there was no training for this.
You literally, by the way, that should be like a record. Like I don't know, running a 13-mile marathon.
26.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, 26.2
Being
miles.
drunk the whole way through.
By the way, you should, if you check out my Instagram, you'll see there's the full video. Like I put like, and I will run 500 miles as the backtrack.
Oh, of
And
course.
it's essentially
Yeah.
me like running and drinking and people seeing me. I had a smile on my face the entire time.
Unbelievable. I'm sure you put a smile on people's face.
Yeah, people were laughing. They're like, what the hell's wrong with you?
It's
But
always-
then again, there's
yeah.
also the people that like push kegs so you can like grab a beer.
All right,
And
true.
like push cart. It's awesome.
Right. Do you think it's super important for kids nowadays to be involved in self-defensive sports? Boxing and these other things?
That is a minor understatement. I think it should be mandatory. I think it should be mandatory for women. I think it should be mandatory for kids, unless you're going to use a gun or a knife or have that capability to do it. Martial arts are what you're going to do.
Why do you think it's so important?
Well, rising crime first and foremost for here. Number 2 is I'd say jiu-jitsu, especially outside of boxing, it's the safest way to take down an opponent. It's really good if it's a one-on-one situation, but most times, as we always joke, when people are like, oh, jiu-jitsu doesn't work, I'm like, we're never rolling alone. Like you're walking somewhere. Generally, I'm with friends that train jiu-jitsu, so the like-minded culture of it. I think for Jewish kids, it gives them a tool, especially. And for women, it gives them a sense of safety and protection. Because the fact is, like, we have people that train Krav Maga, like not the real Krav Maga. I'm not talking about the Amir Peretz Krav Maga. Like that's legit Krav Maga. Not like the ones where it's like Krav Maga fitness, look it up, they're cool.
Right.
That's just a load of shit. We have them come into the gym and we'll have one of our 115 or 120 pound purple belt girls strangle them for 20 minutes. Like when you have that capability of training, it makes you feel so much more confidence. And I also think it builds that confidence in kids too.
So that's what I was
So
going
you're
to
saying
ask.
it's a mental
both.
health aspect.
It's both mental health, but it's also like self-worth and value. Like martial artists are trained to like I say this to people all the time. It's not my line, but it's just a line that you hear all the time. So do you know how much violence it took to become this gentle? Like I'd rather talk you down than get into a fight.
Peace through strength.
100%. Because I know if I have to hit you, you've given me a reason. Like, and a reason that is like, I don't have a choice. Most people, like, when they get all huffy, be like, I'm going to hit you, and they put their hands down. I'm like, bro, like, I'm literally going to pick you up and dump you on your head, and I'm going to choke you out, and you're going to piss your pants. Like, this is not how this is going to work. So you're able to talk because I understand I have that confidence level to be like, hey, like, that's not the vibe.
Also, I would think that a lot of times when people get into a fight, it's a lot like a physical altercation. It's a lot of times an ego thing of where they, almost in a certain way, are unsure if they can beat the shit out of whoever it is. And their ego is taking hits, so they have to go and show themselves that they could. Once you're confident, like you have the legitimate confidence of, if we get into a fight,
you get into less fights because you're not trying to prove anything.
Right, correct. If we get into a fight, like, you just know with certainty, like, you're not coming out alive or
I
whatever.
actually am pretty certain, though, if I were to get into any fight right now, that I would lose.
Well, I'll say that, but a lot of people have it. But we have most things you're going to hear from folks that we hear all the time, and you see it in jiu-jitsu match and boxing and everything else, is leave your ego at the door.
Right.
You have to leave your ego at the door. You are going to get humbled more times than you can count, but it's going to train you for everything, and you're going to learn it. I think, honestly, that I would say you two should go do jiu-jitsu.
I've been thinking about it.
Could you expound on that when you say that they tell you to leave your ego at the door? Why is that so important? In the sport specifically.
I think any sport, you have to leave your ego at the door, like, realistically, because
I hear this constantly in the self-defensive mindset.
Because you're going to get your ass beat. You're going to get beat up. Like, if you and I got into a confrontation right now, I'm going to nuke you.
That's clear. Right? Yes,
that's what
I am certain of.
That's just what it is. But imagine being a white belt that's walking on the mat, going up against someone who's super trained. Your ego is going to get bruised because you don't know what to do. So the concept is just leave it off the mat. Like, nothing you're going to do here. You're there to learn. You're there to be active. Yeah. Sport, martial arts, because martial arts in general are done for sports now. MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, all that stuff. But you train for that and the mental, and then you're able to apply it to the street. So, for example, I know how to keep distance from people. Someone I'm getting to fight with is going to understand that concept that's not trained. I know how much space it takes for me if I need to shoot a double or a single, or what position it is. I know how to make sure no one's getting around my backside. Like, all those things that you train are applicable in a street. You're not training to street fight when you're doing sports stuff, but you're going to have the wherewithal to operate accordingly and make a conscious decision under pressure, because all it is pressure and training. Like, sparring is all about pressure. The reason why you spar and you do stuff is so it becomes applicable for you. You, like, fitness boxers, it's cool. Go hit it back. But if you don't have sparring and training and that stuff, you're not going to be able to do anything, because you've never actually felt real pressure. You've never been hit. You've never had someone choke you out.
Right, the bag's not going to hit you back.
Bag doesn't hit back.
Yeah. There's no fear involved.
No, there's not. But also, you need to be able to, like, have that cool and calm capability, like, deal with your adrenaline rush and how to handle it, which is why this comes back to the women concept.
Please.
And this is why and Yassi and a bunch of other people have been trying to do it. And I think women need to get more comfortable with it. Women need to train with men. Majority of attackers are going to be men.
Yeah.
And if you were only training with women, you're not going to have that pressure.
Do you think that do you think women could be as good as men if they apply?
100%. I just think it's different. Like, there's also factors that level it out, right? Like, the reason why we have weight classes in boxing and Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu is very, very accurate. Weight for trained people, it matters, right?
That's what I was going to ask you. Let's say a smaller woman who weighs 115 pounds. Maybe she's an unbelievable, she's unbelievable in this, but going against you, who probably weighs 230, right? It's going to be much harder for her to knock you out. Like, how would you deal with it?
I mean, but that's also different. But that's not a scenario that would ever actually take place.
Why not?
Because, like, in training, it's different. Because if I'm sparring with someone who's that, I know how much pressure I can put on them. That's part of technique and training, right? I'm not going to hit them the same way I'm going to hit you, right? Or someone else. But in the same case, she's going to get used to that pressure. If it's jiu-jitsu, I'm going to roll with her like I roll with a guy. But that's for her to train. Now, the difference is that 115-pound chick you're talking about is a blue belt would smoke you.
Right. You're saying
that's
someone
the
who doesn't
difference.
know, like on the street.
Yeah.
Someone who,
blue belt
okay, that's
Brazilian-
Weight counts, but the training counts for more.
A blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can take out 95% of untrained people.
right. People.
A blue belt,
A blue belt,
which is what, one level up?
goes white, blue,
Right. I guess
brown,
right.
black.
So I was thinking, I guess
That means if you're a black belt, you are just a weapon of mass destruction. Of course.
Yeah, but in a one-on-one conversation, sure, but you also have to train additional things with jiu-jitsu. Like jiu-jitsu is the gentle art; it's the art form itself. But you need to learn how to read, or need the operational tools of wrestling or judo. But with that, most times those two things apply there. It's the same way. I mean, any of those grappling sports, either submission grappling, if it's Russian sambo, if it's any of those systems, like they're all made for that amount of stuff. And again, it's joint manipulation, it's asphyxiation, it's all the things you can imagine that allow me to play that game. It's a lot of control.
yeah, I guess I didn't realize the blue belt is also that powerful. That's really cool. I was just thinking black belt woman versus like someone like you as a black belt,
I'm a
man.
brown belt.
What?
I'm a brown belt in
You're a
Brazilian
brown
Jiu-Jitsu.
belt.
Yes.
Whatever. What I mean to say is that I was just factoring in the weight classes.
Yeah.
They call it brown belts because that's when you start making other people shit their pants.
And shit ballet. Yeah. No, the system itself is almost a time-based system, but you're at belts a lot longer than anyone else. Like
Are you great at all these things that you just mentioned, or you just specialize in like, I don't know, like you said, jujitsu or?
no, I mean, I mean, you just train, man. Like you get great. I don't think I love it. Like I'd rather be a jack of all trades, right?
In this scenario, I
I'd
assume.
rather be a jack of all trades. And someone gets confused. They're like, oh, they always say jack of all trades is like a bad commentary. It's not. And actually, I'd rather be a jack of all trades than a master of one.
Yeah.
Right?
In this case, I mean,
um,
the idea of jack of all trades means that you're spreading yourself too thin with too many things, so you never get great at one
But
thing.
it's
That's
also
the
not the
concept.
full quote. I think if you actually the full quotes, like I think it's a lot longer.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's way longer.
Oh, I don't know. I was just going by the.
But they use that as the term. I think a jack of all trades is mixed martial arts. Like,
Oh, got it. Got it.
Like you're gonna have other tools to do because great. You might be a master. You might be a master at wrestling, and I might be a master at Muay Thai, and I kick your head clean off.
Right.
You should probably learn some defensive Thai boxing.
Yeah.
100%. No, 100. That makes total sense.
Let me ask you something. With the fighting and the fact that you're pushing it for like everyone to young people to like learn this, are there systems being put in place for people let's say who can't afford?
Yeah, dude. So we do it. Subconscious does it. Lobos does it. There's a bunch of places here that can do it. I mean, do I think that Chabad or someone should raise a fund to do it, to teach these kids how to train that on money? 100%. Because what I will tell you, I teach kids jiu-jitsu. So like I teach a lot of kids, and that has more to do with like parents cannot be as stern as I can on the mat, but I also understand how to work them. I work with conjunction with another coach. His name's Tim. It's through subconscious. And what I can tell you is you see a kid, like there's one kid, and I'm not going to reference any of the kids' names because like you're not obviously not supposed to. But one of our kids, he came in and he was overweight, upset, and being bullied in school. And he was a bigger kid, and he was a white belt. And I have watched him turn into a different person.
Wow.
Like he walks around with this, walked in all hunched over, like not scared to talk. And he walks with his shoulders back and his head high. And he has confidence now. And he's been with us for about a year and a half. And he's a gray belt, gray and white belt. It's a different belt. So the belt system in kids is a lot different because there's more belts to get. Because they have a longer time before they can like. It's not the same as the adult system. Put it that way.
Two important questions. Number one, I was going to ask you: do you have? This may be a repetitive question, but do you have systems in place? Like you're very passionate about this. This is very clear.
Yeah.
Do you have like systems currently in place to teach kids this? And do you have a larger picture to really broaden this out?
So for the Jewish community, it's kind of tough because of the politics. I'm sure you are all aware of this.
Explain more politics.
I am opinionated that I think women and men should train together.
Okay.
Right. So, and finally, we're making some headway because people are starting to understand. If you're telling me that based off a principle, you're not going to have your wife or whoever train with someone who's going to make her way safer when there's no actual contact in it, and may it be a goalie or whatever it is, could be a goalie, whatever context is needed to give that person security. If you're going to do it on the basis of that, then I think that's not really what we're doing. Now, look, I'm a lady, so I'm gonna be hot blooded as fuck always. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or but. Like, there's two sides of us. Like my friend Eli Littman is amazing. He's a super talented editor, like writer. He's a Levi on this side, and then you've got like the me's, right? Which you know that you for sure know both sides of the tribe. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of us, so you're gonna know. You know what it is. And I get aggressive about things like that because I'm like, why are you doing something that's not actually benefiting the Jewish people? So there are systems that are being worked on for Jews specifically. In the larger system, there's always systems. There's always schools for people to go to. There's funds to help people go to those schools. There's training. There's ability to train. Like Eddie, before we got restricted from doing it for a bit, we were teaching boxing down in Compton on Friday nights to the kids. And they're just kids in Compton, like in an area that's really gang heavy. And it's,
I was going to say, that's probably a super important place.
100%. And you wish you could continue to do more programs like that. But unfortunately, what I would say is in a city like Los Angeles, they divert the money to the wrong places instead of places where you actually get results. That's a whole different
Yeah, that's a political.
That's a whole different bag of worms that I can't have control over. But hopefully, eventually when you get one thing going and you can replicate it, people can help to do that.
I would love to. This is super interesting what you're saying, because in the right wing, I don't know exactly why, where we grew up, let's say in Brooklyn, the yeshiva kids, I don't know how familiar you are there.
I'm familiar.
You are familiar. So there's none of this type of stuff going on. And I think I was talking about this yesterday on a podcast we did yesterday, how I think all people are really on board now more than ever with anything that is a healthy outlet, to start introducing to kids is super important. I think this is a super healthy outlet in lots of ways. I would love to get involved and bring something up to them. These are kids that, grew up in middle Brooklyn, like yeshivish, I think it could be a great outlet for them. I'd love to talk to you in general about
100%. I'm more than happy
trying to do something.
Organize some folks. There's great schools in Brooklyn. There's a lot of people who give their time. I mean, the jiu-jitsu community especially is a very collective group. So it's very easy to figure out someone, and donating time is not hard to do, especially when it's done for the right thing, because there's different things you can do. And I think if those kids can learn to not walk with their eyes down, just doing that would be probably the first step ever, because that also blows my mind.
Yeah. One important thing I wanted to ask is, do you feel, especially for these kids, right, that are coming in clearly in pain, right? That's obvious. Their head is down. They don't feel confident. Do you think this is a exchange for dealing with their emotional issues, such as going to therapy and really working through the emotional issues that these kids are suffering from?
I think jiu-jitsu is a form of therapy for some people. I don't think everyone needs a conversation or a lecture. I think if they can work it out themselves, they're going to be better suited. I go to therapy. I think everyone should.
They can work in tandem. They don't have to
that's
be.
what I'm asking. So I was asking,
But
do you
I think the problem with kids going to therapy is that's always the first thing someone does. Throw the kid in therapy, get him on Adderall, get him on this, get him on that, and the next thing you know, you have a medicated kid who can't function outside of what he's already been, become addicted to. I mean, SSRIs are, what the fuck? What are you doing? Like, why are you putting a kid on Lexapro right now? Like, the best thing for a kid is sunshine and fucking the ocean. Like, instead, we spend so much time doing this and sticking in and playing computer games where these kids are disassociated. Like, that's what they do. Like, where were the days when I was a kid? Like, I used to run around. My parents wouldn't care. They'd come home at this time and do this. Now everyone's like helicopter and locked in and TikTok and Fortnite. And, I get it. But again, that's not the reality of the world. It isn't. Shit sucks sometimes. It's going to suck. But it's going to suck less the next day. Right. And if you can instill that in kids and let them know that eventually it's going to be okay, that's why I think losing is really important. I think losing is very important. I think kids need to learn how to lose and get nothing for it. Because we become a trophy society. Yeah. Like, we're like, oh, you suck. Here's a trophy. You just rewarded someone for being bad at something.
I love everything you're saying. This very much goes in line with my theories, my own personal opinions as well. I guess you're in LA, which is the people, if I'm not wrong, promoting a lot of this, stuff of giving out trophies. How does that work for you?
I just disagree with them.
But you're open about it, clearly.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, my opinions are my opinions. Everyone's entitled to have their own. How I think, I'm a big firearms guy. Who's arguing with me about it? Because I say to them the same exact thing. Okay, why are you a big firearms guy? 1939, 1937. Should we keep going? Right. You want to keep having this conversation with me?
No, I'm just saying.
But that's my point. Like, where's the argument then? They're like, oh, well, and I said, the greater good? How'd that do for us last time? Right. So you can have your opinion, but you're not the one whose family got nuked. Right. So when you'd like to have that conversation, you're open to it, then we can talk. Most people, they don't want to hear the things, but as soon as you say it in a way where it's like, no, It's not an argument on like a political ideology. It's just a fact. Guns are tools that I can use to protect myself
Right.
in case anything goes down. And that's how that works. No different than a car is something I can drive.
Yeah.
Like,
Or kill people with.
exactly.
Yeah. Do you come from a family with any Holocaust survivors?
Probably. I mean, I think we do, but again, we don't know. Most of on my dad's side, we were all here pretty early. So like, I think we were here like, I don't know how many generations, but probably like my grandpa, one sec, Bowser, my dog, he's a baby Rottweiler, but he listens. And the man over there opened the door and almost let the monster out, which is pretty funny. I was like, looked over and laughed a little bit when he did that. I was like, oh, well, let's see what you do with this.
That's great.
It's fine. It's fine.
We're gonna interview Bowser on the pod next.
Yeah, he'll just sit at the thing and be like, yeah. I mean, look, I think the problem, and this is why when you ask if anyone has any Holocaust survivors in their family, how do you know?
Right.
Right?
I mean,
But sometimes there's genes.
No,
There's
there's
just the saying because like either one or two things happen, right? Eventually I'll find someone, but like I'd say either they died or they got here and they took their tefillin off and they threw it in the water.
Yeah.
You know, and they did a lot of stuff like that. Like I'll end up, I found like cousins I didn't even know existed.
right. No, I mean, some people are direct, like, are very clear their grandparents died in the Holocaust, or a grandmother. Or
my
something.
family was here, but I'm assuming not all of my family, but the ones that I'm aware of that I know, because the only one that's kind of a record keeper is my aunt. She's a bit cuckoo, but she definitely knows.
There's always, by the way, in every Jewish family, there's like one relative that's just like into like the records, the genealogy,
Has
who's
the
great
whole
grandpa.
exact thing. So
yeah,
yes,
the family tree.
So yes, we have full family that died in the Holocaust, but
Right.
I'm unaware if we have any survivors in my family.
Got it.
I'm building like a psychological profile of you right now, like
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting to know you. There's something I want to see how it fits in. Like we're in your home.
Yep.
This is your home. This is. Would you consider it a bastard pet?
Yeah, for the most
Yeah,
part.
for the most part. I'm seeing a lot of comic book art, comic motifs. You got, you know, Superwoman behind you. I'm seeing Superman. There's Batman. There's everything. So clearly you love comics.
No,
Whoa, okay.
don't at all.
Left
actually.
turn. Okay, what's up then? What talk to
I like the artist.
Oh,
I don't care about the subject matter. I like the art. So you'll see the smileys on the wall right there.
Yeah.
I like those. Those have nothing to do with comic books.
I almost feel like pushing back though, because like I hear you like there's like so much comic book stuff.
Yeah, but also Wes. Wes is a good friend. He's a super talented artist. And I just needed some big space for the walls. And these ones I liked. And they worked with
word.
the aesthetic. And that was it.
I love them.
I was trying to build it into like my profile view. It was just like, you know, because like the idea of strength, of like confidence and strength and using it for the good.
The last time I read a comic book, I was probably like 9 years old.
Wow.
10 years old. I like comic book movies. Like I like the Marvel movies. I mean,
Right.
to an extent, they've kind of gone to shit. But they've all kind of gone to shit. I think all movies in general have kind of gone to shit, but that's a whole different conversation.
I want to get the hot takes out of you. Like,
Yeah, you gotta give us the hot takes.
Well, the reason why
We
movies
want
have gone
those
to shit is
hot-headed
because
opinions.
the reason why movies have gone to shit is because it's a budgetary thing, right? So like if I'm not gonna spend $200 million to make a movie that makes $1 billion, like that. If you remember the 1980s, what made the 1980s, 1990s so great was mid-tier budget movies, 25 million to 90 million, right? Those movies were what you grew up on. RoboCop, Bloodsport, like any of those movies that you had, like those gems were there. The only one that's kind of done it recently is John Wick, right? But in that same system, like you couldn't make Father of the Bride today. You couldn't make Home Alone today. Like those movies wouldn't exist because they're mid-budget. So they're going to look and they're like, well, we don't have superstar here, superstar here, superstar here. It's either independent movies that are sold,
Right.
or it's these really high-budget movies. So
you got
movies,
Marvel and you got A24 and nothing in between.
Exactly. I mean, look, you've got the occasional Universal movie. You've got that works that way. And if it's not Pixar animated or this or that and the other, like, what are you actually getting at the box office of value? You're just not. So, like, and there's less movies compared to what it was. So you get these things that they're trying to do temple. Cool. That's why movies and creative have gone to shit. There's less for it to do. That's why TV is absolutely crushing. And also the genre that's crushing the most is video games. When the best narratives coming out is God of War 2. And it's like an amazing, and you could just literally go online and I just didn't even play the game. I just watched it.
Have you ever acted in movies?
No.
You haven't. I wasn't
Any desire in it?
No.
No desire.
No desire.
You don't really have a desire to be a celebrity.
No.
No. You want to move in silence, kind of.
No, I mean, look, I have no problem dealing with spotlight, but I'm there to support other people and I like cash more than fame. So
I was gonna ask you, this actually feeds in nicely. You're clearly also a big entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very obvious. I saw on your Insta handle you have like 3 or 4 startups that you've been involved
than
in.
that.
I mean, but
Yeah.
ones that are clearly like Thomas Ashburn. I saw.
Thomas Ashburn is the one that is the hot bot right now. So that is a ready drink cocktail line we built with celebrities, and we're about to shoot another commercial for our newest celebrity, which is Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Lord, I'm on.
Was that I saw a post you did with Vanessa Hudgens and someone else I didn't
Yep.
recognize.
Ashley Benson.
Ashley Benson. Okay.
Yep.
Are you
Yeah.
close with Vanessa and Ashley?
Yes.
You are. Where did you meet them?
I met Ashley I met them like 12 years ago. I was a talent agent, so
Oh,
Right.
and I used to also do their social media back in the day.
Really?
I had my agency originally did social media for celebrities too. For like Ariana Grande, Shawn Mendes, et cetera, et cetera.
You did that. You did Ariana and Shawn Mendes?
My company did.
Your company.
Right.
I owned it. We did all the creative, like a lot of social creative and stuff like that. So, and then eventually
What does that entail doing a celebrity's?
it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, like what does that mean?
Probably, if I had to bet, a lot of detail.
It's a lot of detail and it's a lot of conversations. And then it's a lot of managing like what they want, how they want. I think nowadays I would not touch a celebrity social media ever again. I'd rather just build the brands like we do with Privé Revaux, which we built with Jamie Foxx, Ashley Benson, Haley Steinfeld, and David Schottenstein.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I saw David Schottenstein. First of all, he seems like an amazing dude.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, David Schottenstein is one of my closest friends in the world.
Really?
The man who brought me back to Judaism. He's amazing, extremely neurotic, which is not surprising. It's not surprising, but he's the best. And
Can we pause real quick? 'Cause
yeah.
I don't know if everyone listening knows who he is, and like the art scroll,
Yeah, yeah.
Schottenstein edition on your art
the
scroll.
Schottenstein family is massive in Iman and massive in Judaism in general. David and his wife Ida are 2 of my closest friends, and their kids are are my nieces and my nephews, if it makes sense. Like I was invited to the family bar mitzvah and the dinners. Like I'm
really?
considered part of the family. And he's the closest thing I have to an actual brother, because it's a little different, right? Like we fucking hated each other.
Really?
When we first met, fucking hated each other. But most of the best relationships start from there, right? Like if you actually work on it, you work together.
You and Gruen?
I love that. Yeah.
I mean, he'll fucking tell you. Like, you get him on a podcast, you'll be like, I fucking want to strangle him. I'm like,
Why?
I spend so many times like talking to him on the phone where I'm like, I'm gonna fly to Miami and I'm gonna beat you unconscious. And then you get really quiet, be like, fuck you. I'd be like, fuck you. And then after that, like now he's one of my closest friends.
I love that.
I talk to him like 3 times a day.
How did the relationship start? Business?
Started with business.
Got it.
We started. I helped him build it. And then we just worked together on a bunch of stuff. And, I know how to handle his neuroses on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And he knows how to handle my craziness.
No, his wife actually, you don't know this, but his wife also seems super nice. I reached out to her when we were in Miami. And like on a whim, I just like messaged her, hey, we have one more day here. Can we, come by and shoot? Because she's got a pretty big presence in the film community. Yeah. And I've listened to her stuff. She says great things. And I want to sit down with her. And she messaged me back, hey, wish I could do it. Like really nicely, but I'm just not in town right now. So that was really nice. Like whatever. She doesn't know who the hell I am. So.
No, but he does a real one.
Yeah.
Ida Schottenstein is a real one. And so is David. And they're two amazing humans. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So I want to jump back into the business side of things, specifically the startups. Can you tell me first a little bit about each one and also how you identify needs in the marketplace, just as a general from a business
I mean,
perspective?
I'll start this way. Ready? Like, start everything I work with Doc Johnson. I'll start there. This is a good example of what is taking place. Everyone thinks about needs in the marketplace in a different fashion. You're thinking about it the wrong way. It's not about that. It's about what's next, right? Everyone's trying to fill the need in the marketplace. I want to fill a need. I want to fill a want, right? Because like need and want, people need alcohol. It's a fact. They do. Build an alcohol business. But what are you going to build that's not there? Oh, people want ready to drink cocktails. Okay. Need and want. So the same thing's true. The reason why adult novelty products and pleasure products interest me so much is because they're the top selling items on Amazon, discreetly delivered. The business is massive. It is a sniper business and the best company doing it in the market.
What does that mean?
Sniper businesses means like people would think like, oh, it's this, that, or the other, or it's like, oh, it's like it's hidden, but it's not, right? Like the stores are hidden, all that, but now it's slowly coming out in the mainstream, like nonstop. When you have these big like celebrity companies starting to like really build proper pleasure products, but the best company doing it on the market is Doc Johnson. Like the team over there, like Ron Berryman founder of the company, his son Chad, who is one of the running the company and the chief creative, Scott Watkins, Cheryl Hayslip, like the women that work there, Vaughn, who's building pleasure products, like Norma, like you have no idea the power that they're able to do there, because they make so many products that you don't even know they make, because they're a manufacturer first and foremost. So they manufacture a lot of products for other people, both private label
And they white label them, you said.
White label and private label, two different things.
Got it.
And then their own products, which they have, which there's like, I want to say 1,500 SKUs or 1,500 items with I don't know how many SKUs they have in between there. But, they've spent a lot of time and they're dominant in the market, and they needed help in a specific area. So, I am very much about learning. You always have to learn, right? And that space is like a wall. It's a walled garden. Like you're not getting in there unless you're in there, right? And I was lucky enough over the course of years to build a relationship with them, and I'm happy to say I'm a part of the team, and helping them creatively and helping them with talent, helping them with traditional talent, like building deals, because it's there. Like it's so interesting to learn who buys what, because it blows your fucking mind.
Can you expand on that?
I'll give you an example. Who do you think buys more dildos, men or women?
Well, we're going to say women, but now I'm assuming it's men now.
It's almost 50-50.
That's still surprising.
It's not. Because you're going to think, here's what I'll say.
Well, maybe men are buying dildos to use with women. Oh, never mind.
So what are they buying it for then?
Take a wild guess.
For themselves.
So here's what I'll
Get out.
No, here's what I'll tell you. The world of behind the bedroom pleasure, more people are into more things than you can even fathom. And they're right in your neighborhood. They're your neighbor. They're your cousin.
No, that doesn't shock me, to be honest.
No, but it's like to a level that is like,
Right.
like, but you're seeing it and you're like, oh my God, like it's there. When you're now able to go to Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, and there's almost
Section.
pleasure product section in food, drug, mass. Okay.
Times have changed.
It's time. But I think it should, because like we become more open in that sense. And I think like, why wouldn't you rather would you rather have a kid or someone go have sex when they're not supposed to, or use a toy? I would say toy,
Right.
A pleasure product. I'd rather have people would rather excite their marriage together through toys or play in the way that they're comfortable with each other than go step out of their marriage.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of different versions of thoughts on that. And I think, I think people should really lean into that space because it's super interesting. But that's a space I'm working in actively to build with celebrity-based brands to make it more applicable.
Can I ask you one other thing? Just on the
Yeah,
topic of
ask me
this.
whatever
I know you mentioned that was a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you go after what people want, not what they need. I would have thought the opposite. So I want you to explain that.
Well, the need already needs to be there. So if you're always going after what people need, right, then they're going to have options. But it's like alcohol, people need alcohol, right? Everyone's going to need alcohol.
But people want what things people want. They don't necessarily need to buy. There's no pain there.
You need both.
I mean, you need explain that. You need to want.
So like if I said to you, like, what brand of toothpaste do you buy?
Whatever's cheapest in the store.
Okay, but that's a need, right? You need toothpaste.
Yeah.
How do I get you to want what you need?
Better packaging, honestly.
Same for that concept, but you can't exactly pick the thing if it's there. It's not like, oh, what are you going to fix in the marketplace? Great, go figure it out. Be someone else. But why go that far? Most of the stuff we do is already stuff that's being done, right? It's literally stuff. Alcohol being done. There's been ready to drink cocktails being done. Great. We understood the market was changing. We paid attention to the fact it's a fast growing category and we need to get in there. Boom, done. Sunglasses, great.
Yeah, can you explain the sunglasses? Just give me a concept.
So it's just affordable luxury. That's what it is. The glasses are made no different than a Ray-Ban or a Tom Ford are made. They're just way cheaper.
Really? What's that company called?
Privé Revo.
Privé.
Prive, Revo, R-E-V-A-U-X. David's out. He got bought out. I'm the only one still in.
Oh, really?
Because we sold to Safalo. So
Got it.
So I'm the only one they kept on because I do creative and marketing and celebrity strategy and stuff like that.
Very cool. So you're saying with that's an example of a want.
So you take a celebrity.
Right. That's what I see you do that. You just pull in a celebrity that you know.
No.
Bam.
You take a celebrity. And then our whole idea was reframe yourself. So the concept was like, they're wearing these glasses. They're not $400. Why not buy 5 pairs and be able to look like all these people
Right.
and have the same style they're wearing, which normally you can't do. So that's part of it.
Got it. Very, very cool. You mentioned before, we were talking before, you know Dave Portnoy, obviously.
Did a deal with him. Not like a tight friend. I know you're going to ask me about that. He's a bear to do a deal with.
He's tough.
Yeah, he's good. He's smart. He's a good negotiator.
Yeah, well, sure. He actually just put out this whole thing. I have to bring it up because it's hilarious. I'm a big Dave guy. He put out this whole thing, his brick watches. You saw that? You didn't see that? Oh, that was
I
just funny.
actually know what you're talking
And
about.
he's getting, honestly, and Dave is getting roasted for this. Like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, one of the bad calls he's made.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing what you're like, Privé Revaux, just it's still too expensive. He kind of has this whole thing where he says it's designed exactly like a Rolex, or Patek, but he's still charging $3,000.
Watches, bro. I'm good.
Yeah.
There's too much that goes into it. You need
Right.
goods that you can produce quick
Yeah.
and simple and don't cost a lot.
Is there a specific industry, business, whatever that you have your eyes on that you would like to get involved in, or that you think needs
I mean,
shaking up?
honestly, I pretty much touch everything. I mean, I really think the next one I'll probably end up getting into. I mean, I'm starting to work on something in the cannabis space,
Cool. Yeah, that makes.
which is a little different. I'm starting to work on something in the cannabis space. Eventually, probably get into something psilocybin, so mushrooms. 'Cause that's gonna be big.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple other plays in the beverage space. We have a couple other alcohols that we work with. And
Could someone please make a alcoholic seltzer? I'm gluten free, so I can't drink beer. Truly tastes like ass. So does White Claw. Like, we need a better mass produced.
So
hard
there's
seltzer.
something in the works. It's not me doing it, but I will tell you that I have tasted something that is really good that will be out soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Oliver Truvina at Cali Water.
Do you, when you're making a business decision, right, do you back it up with like data, or you're just trusting your gut for the most part?
Both.
You make sure both mix.
I think part of anything in good business outside of data is like really paying attention to if you're doing the right thing. When something doesn't feel right, it's generally not right.
Right.
And I think a lot of people try to force it. So you have to like not force it. That's where the greatest things come from, is not forcing
Just has to
things.
speak to you.
Yeah.
Not forcing it.
Like I
You
don't
think that's true across the board, not just business,
yeah, I think it's true. Like
relationships?
look, we're Oliver, myself, and Dr. Payman Soleimani are going to launch a product very soon called Man Face. It's men's skincare, right? The subscription model. It's cheaper than everyone else's. It's not that. It's just very simple to use. There's directions, and dudes can actually do it to protect their skin because it's the thing that ages them and hurts the most and prevents cancer. Simple.
Sounds like a good product.
They need and want.
Yeah.
So like there's things like that are built over the course of time. Most times, like sometimes even I'm coming into a product that I've either like started from the ground up or come into as a partner. It just depends on if I'm interested in it. Every single time I've always been iffy about something, it's always blown up in my face.
Really?
Always blown up in my face.
See-
Whether you want to say that's Hashem speaking to you or any version of any bit of guidance,
Energy.
you need to pay attention to it always.
Love that.
Most times when you always say I shouldn't have gone down that road and I knew it, whether it's for safety or anything else, you're not supposed to go it and you do it anyway, you always get fucked somehow.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people pay attention to. Coming back to the martial arts side, it's exactly what it teaches you.
It teaches you to trust, to
Intuition.
lean into your
Teaches you
instincts.
to lean into your instincts. Trust yourself. Trust your technique.
love that.
Trust what you trust. Trust the training. Trust all of it. And you should trust yourself to make a correct decision.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. Like, I really think that that's one of the best things about that I think I'm getting from you about the jiu-jitsu thing is it's in terms of the mental game is learning to trust yourself, to have confidence in your body, yourself. Like that, just trust in yourself. Mm-hmm. That's
Of
crazy.
course. And you need to.
Yeah.
If you don't, like realistically, if you don't, like you can't trust yourself, who can you trust? Right?
Also, if you don't trust yourself, you'll probably end up not trusting other people.
Correct.
Or you'll put your trust in the wrong people.
There's a couple things I say all the time. Not everyone you go, oh, I need to help this person. I say, can you help yourself first? And they're like, what do you mean? First thing they tell you when you get on an airplane, we're doing safety briefing. What do they say? Put your oxygen mask on first before you
Help someone else.
Correct. Very true in your life as well.
Yeah.
You got to be able to help yourself before you can help others. You got to be able to trust yourself before you trust others. You have to do all of those things first.
Yeah.
But
Love
that comes
that.
with listening and paying attention. Like most times when you know anyone who knows they're going to make a bad decision and you know you're not supposed to do it, it never turns out right.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of truth to that when you question those things in the future, it ends up.
Is that resonating with you?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much. 100%. So one last question on the business side of things. So when you come into all these companies or you start them, you're purely on the branding and the marketing side of things? Or you're, what
Depends on what the need is.
Totally
Sometimes I'll
depends.
come in and readjust COGS. Sometimes I'll come in and readjust T2C. It just depends on what it is.
You don't get into operations and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, very, very cool.
You gotta, dude, I told you, I need to learn everything.
Love it.
You're just a student.
Always. I think
Always.
if you're not a student your whole life, you're losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moment you think
yeah.
you know everything, you're fucked.
Yeah. Did you go to school?
Yes, University of Arizona.
You went to University of
Great
Arizona.
water polo. It's awesome.
It's like the whitest activity known to mankind.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. No, honestly,
Bunch of dudes in speedos. It's hot. You know,
That's hilarious.
probably really fun.
yeah, it is fun.
I wanted to- oh,
It's
yeah.
very violent, by the way.
Water polo.
100%.
Wait, what? You're in water.
When you're done with me today,
Yeah.
go Google and water polo fights or the bloodiest game ever, and you'll literally sit there and you're gonna send me a text. And be
Yo.
like, what the actual
Yo,
fuck?
that's amazing. That's
hilarious.
amazing.
It's really violent.
Okay, I will. I'll check that out. I
You
want
don't
to
really see a lot of blood flowing underneath the water. Put it that way.
They're just playing footsie. Aggressive
Someone's
footsie.
nuts are getting slammed.
Always.
You think they're treading water? They're kicking each other in the nuts.
No,
underneath
there's
it.
so many times you're kicking people in the face or like.
Oh my God.
it's pretty.
You're actually making me now want to play water.
You should. It's fun.
Sounds fun. I want to circle back to something you mentioned just off cuff real quick there. Brought up psychedelics, and you said that's an industry you might want to get involved in. Can you talk to me about do psychedelics play any part in your life, whether just recreationally and or as part of your spirituality?
No,
Growth?
I
Any?
have done quite a bit of mushrooms, much like anyone else has. And
Yeah.
anyone who says they hasn't in California is lying to you. Everyone's in this microdosing game. I just don't do it as much as everyone else. Like you have to kind of do it in the right. I'd like to do things in the right setting. I don't really party that much anymore, but I think the applications of what it can do for the brain are interesting.
Yes.
And I think how it readjusts blood flow and what it's going to do. I think it's very very applicable to medicine. So it's as long as it's recreational or medical, I'd love to get in that space.
A lot of people think that. First of all, fully agree. I've been very closely watching the psychedelics, especially in psychology and mental health and physical health. But I was just wondering because you say you came back to Judaism. Like a lot of people do use psychedelics as a way to like.
If you lived in my
amp
brain, you
spiritual-
wouldn't need to use many psychedelics, my friend.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need it. Like, it's not like I can reference things in my head different. Like, I love ayahuasca. It's a great thing to do, right? If you
That
need
one
to get
scares
some
me.
information.
Yeah.
Why does it scare you?
I wanted to hear that last. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean now we're here. I'm not used to being put on the spot. Why does it scare me? Because I think losing control. It's really losing control.
No, it's not. And if you're thinking of it that way, you're not doing psychedelics correctly in the first place. You're embracing a different version of control. So you're not forfeiting anything. So the reason why you get such a bad trip if you do stuff is you're not hugging the mushroom. That's what I used to say to everyone when they do mushrooms: hug the mushroom, embrace the mushroom, because then you're gonna be fine. You understand what you're doing. You have a recollection to make a decision. Ayahuasca is you dealing with your demons. And if you're scared of what's inside of there, then that's the problem. It's not you losing control. You're probably scared of having to confront things that are problematic or stuff that you don't understand, be it generational trauma or other things that you haven't come up or had to deal with before. And for a lot of people, that's what it is.
So you're avoiding the truth inherently.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't really call it fear in regards to like losing control because it's not the process of doing it, right? You're releasing things that don't serve you anymore, essentially. You know, you're
That I've heard that before. Talking about like with it's almost metaphorical. With when you take ayahuasca, I think it's like an automatic barf.
No, some people do.
Oh, okay.
I threw the fuck up, so
You did.
But people always
felt
talk about
amazing though.
How many times have you done ayahuasca?
A couple.
Do you think there's some people fear, like I've heard that some people fear falling into like a deep depression post ayahuasca, maybe because they're confronting a lot of this shit and they don't. The result I've heard sometimes is falling into like a really deep depression. Is that
Sounds like-
true or is that not true?
I don't know anyone that does. Everyone that I've done, I've been around in ayahuasca, like comes back like really different. But there's other things you can do. But it's not just ayahuasca. There's a ton of different ones.
There's different psychedelics like ketamine. There's Mal. There's people are using MDMA.
I'm not
now.
a fan of ketamine, so I know I'm not a fan of.
Why is
ketamine.
that?
I just think it's just not. It's just.
Definitely not my favorite drug, but I don't hate it.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I think people, but it's like I think it's a new cocaine for people.
It
And that's why
definitely-
I'm not a fan.
What about from a medical standpoint?
Right.
I just also think it's chemical. I don't like chemical compounds.
Right. You want the natural stuff.
You it sounds like you're for the most part against the whole medication side of things in mental health.
No, I'm not. I think if you need it, it's a great support system. I think it's overprescribed.
Okay.
Yeah. Hard to argue with that.
Yeah, no,
honestly.
you can't argue with that.
Like, I think I like smart doctors. Like, everyone calls their doctor for a Z-Pack. That really gives you 100 Z-Packs. Z-Pack's not going to work.
Right.
Serviceable time, we have this. And you have to wean off SSRIs. You know how hard that is to do?
Yeah.
We think that you're not going to be in even more deep depression when maybe that wasn't a problem in the first place, but it sucked out all of your serotonin. Come on. Like, it's the logic on the side of, like, how about we don't over-medicate things? Like,
Yeah.
why do you think, like, oh, let's go. Oh, we're going to go in this, you're in so much pain, and we're going to inject you with all this shit. I'm like, dude, back in, like, the Civil War, they used to just cut people's fucking legs off.
Yeah.
In the battlefield with no anesthetic. But now,
Back when men were men.
yeah.
And they got their legs chopped off.
But it's also, I think it's different too. Like, I think that's a full conversation. But, you know,
What's that?
just generally how weak humans in general are becoming.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. I just don't like it. Like, I think everyone has their opinions on softness. And I think like a masculine man, like, provides, protects, and professes, right? Like, that's a man, like an actual man. But who's actually doing that now? Like, what are they protecting? Like, they're not doing anything. And protection also, like, I totally agree. Like, we need to be more open and, like, talkative and not steal things away. But, like, do you think that if there was, you know, like, how many people would be like and I love servicemen. I love the military. I think they're amazing. How many people do you think would, like, currently would actually do what the greatest generation did? Which is like World War I, World War II. Like, who would have actually gone and served their country like that? Like, and not done it outside of the people who have signed up and enlisted.
What?
Different animals, man. Like, you're just raising different people.
Yeah. I mean, there's what to say on that, but I definitely hear your point.
Do you think that? I'm curious to hear your. So you think there? Do you feel that there's an anti? I think that there's an anti-masculinity approach going on in the world in general.
Bro, I think there's an anti-anything approach. Like, if someone's anti my socks one day, like, it's just someone will be anti a ham sandwich. And
But do you not see that happening more nowadays?
see it happen with everything?
Everything in general.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is kind of like one of the effects of Twitter, right? It's just social media is now like, just this generation's very into, like, everything has to have an opinion. Opinions have become like, well, you don't have an opinion on this?
Dude, because you can't get punched in the face over the internet.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
They should really come out with a way to do that.
Every dumbass has an opinion.
By the way, Mike Tyson is like, he says the exact same thing. And I think another one was, I think it was Paul from the UFC. Like, someone was talking shit to me. He goes, say it to my face. He goes, nope, you beat me up. And he goes, fair. Like, you know, it's like,
What are your thoughts on, just out of curiosity, on Andrew Tate? Because he's pushing a lot of, like, trying to push back on that whole thing.
don't care.
Don't give a shit.
Dude, don't care.
Just curious.
I say this, some stuff's I say this as my favorite line, not my horse, not my rodeo.
Got it. No, I'm just curious if you had a take on
I
it.
just don't. I just like, that's just like, he's not in my.
You are most probably better off in your life for not even knowing who he is.
No, I know who he is. I just don't. Like, I think people get so obsessed with things.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how about you get obsessed with business instead?
Yeah.
Or how about you get
Productive
obsessed
things.
with productive things?
Yeah.
I'd rather have healthy obsessions than, you know, like what someone's wearing.
I love it. That's actually great. Healthy obsessions overnight. Like, you're going to be obsessed about something. Like,
Be healthy. Be like, be obsessed with the right thing. Like,
Yeah.
look, I have my weird quirks. Like, I, for some reason, enjoy, this makes no sense, and it's really random, but I enjoy listening to figure four wrestling. It's like Brian Alvarez, because he's a very soothing voice, and like Dave Meltzer, and they talk about wrestling. I don't watch wrestling. I have friends who are in wrestling, but I just enjoy what they're talking about, the business aspect of, like, oh, this is that and the other. It's interesting because you're able to learn. Like, that's interesting to me. Or I'll go listen to an old podcast, or I'll learn about something, or I'll read. Like, those are all important things. Or I'll play a fucking video game with my friends because it's nighttime and I'm allowed to because I trained. Like, I think kids should only be allowed to play video games if they train.
yeah. Yeah, oh, it's true, right. It's like, it's a reward.
Interesting.
What are you playing as this?
I actually haven't done playing anything a bit, but I just got, I bought myself a PS5 for Hanukkah, not Christmas. Hanukkah. Hanukkah. I bought myself a PS5 for Christmas, so I'm going to play God of War 2 because I'm excited.
You're saying
to do
that's the
it.
one that's got, like, a beautiful narrative.
I just saw it and I was like, the way it was shot and the way it won the Game Awards and like what it did, it's just like it's actually a real like heartfelt story, and they did an amazing job.
They're coming out with a TV show about The Last of Us, which I have on PS4.
I think I'm not sure how that will do because it's on HBO, and I believe the showrunner said he doesn't care what the gamers think, so we'll see if that doesn't take. I'd say it's the same problem they had with The Witcher, but I
hated The Witcher.
I love Henry Cavill. So I think
Henry Cavill is great.
That's my point. I think the entire series itself was kind of choked a little bit. I think what'll be interesting is that Henry Cavill just took Warhammer 40K over to Amazon. That's a massive universe, by the way. I don't like comic books, but like I like good stories, like storyline stuff. So like I have listened. There's one. This is how weird. This is the weird side of this gets here. I get like I'll like watch something because it'll pop up in my YouTube feed, and then I'll like get obsessed with it for like a week until I like know everything, and I'll come back and be like, aha. I've listened to approximately 100 hours of this.
I now can have a valid opinion
on this.
So that's so me, by the way, in a way.
Yeah, but that's what you're supposed to do.
Dude, I think the worst case of that ever for me was I caught myself a year ago watching a 2-hour documentary on one player's rise and fall in the competitive Super Smash Bros. Leagues.
Dude,
and it was fascinating.
Honestly, I would do the exact same thing. There's no like
there's no subject you want untouched.
No, exactly. But I also think like that's way more productive than watching Andrew Tate.
Yeah, for sure.
Because at least you can talk about something like that's dinner party conversation.
Oh yeah,
like,
bring it up on every first date. It's been going horribly.
Then don't do that.
Yeah, that's a joke.
I know. I figured that's good. Don't do that. Maybe you should, watch Andrew Tate and bring that up and just get yelled at.
Yeah, women love
that
when
will
you
get
bring
you
it
slapped across the face.
Yeah.
That's where it'll get you.
I just want to go vocally on the pod and say fuck Andrew Tate. But yeah. Don't like the guy.
I think it's just like that's actually super healthy. Like I would say like the Warhammer 40K thing, the reason why I got involved was like randomly I was like sitting in the bath and I always keep my laptop, I watch something. And I like this like for whatever reason, YouTube will randomly shove a fucking video on there that makes no sense.
Yep.
And there's this dude named Luton, I think is his name. He's like a Warhammer 40K like lore guy. And he starts like this really like docile voice, like talking about like the Emperor of Mankind. And I'm in the bath, somewhere really comfy. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? He starts telling the story and I was like, is this some kind of like video game shit or what? But I got really interested. Turns out it's like made by this company, Game Workshops, like this big like tabletop gaming situation. But they write a shitload of books. So it's all this whole book series that people read. And it's this wild world they've created. Yeah. So I got interested in that, and I learned as much as possible. Now I can talk about that too.
That's great.
For no damn reason.
I like that. The healthy obsessions.
Yeah. I mean, look, dude, I think the healthiest obsession for people is learning, be it jiu-jitsu, be it business, be it life, be it Judaism, spirituality. I think that should be everyone's obsession is just learning. Because you look, we're here for we're grains of sand in this fucking never-ending, clock.
Yeah.
And sands of time keep moving, and you have an option to, sit your head and not be educated, or eventually at the end of your life be able to pass on knowledge. I'd much rather be able to do that than sit there and be focused on what YouTubers getting banged in the butt this week.
It's so interesting because
that's a great soundbite.
I sometimes think about that. Like we're here for 80 years, and in the grand scheme of things, we're like literally a blip on this universe.
Total blip.
A couple things you mentioned on your Instagram. I've seen you mention referencing trauma that happened in your life. Are you able to expound on that?
Yeah, I've had a lot. I mean, I've had a good amount of trauma. I would say most recent was my best friend passed away.
Totally.
Very sorry to hear that.
It's all good. It's been a year. It's been over a year now. And I was incapable of processing it because I was kind of like, we were like the two in the like leads of our group. It's a big entertainment group. And he was is literally probably one. It's the reason why I started my business on my own. He convinced me to leave, to do it on my own. So like I owe him a lot, like in life. And I just have a guardian angel too. So, or just someone watching my back. But I took on a lot of other people's shit and I just buried my own. And it's not a good idea to do that. Yeah. And eventually you're going to crack. And I wasn't paying attention because I was so focused on that mission. This is why it's not always good to be obsessive about stuff like this, or leverage other things to, negate those things. So that was super tough. My dad had cancer many times, and a lot of my friends, you know, left me alone and pushed you away. My parents got divorced. I can like keep going through the whole list of shit. Like I just, there's a lot of things in your life that happen. And I think how you deal with trauma or your trauma response, it's a lot. I mean, Jews are born with trauma.
Yeah.
Like we come out generationally of just being persecuted our entire life.
Right.
And I think I'd rather change that narrative.
Yeah.
But I'm open to talk about it and open to talk about other people's trauma and things they feel. But I don't think you should let your trauma define you.
Right.
You know, I don't think you should live in sadness all the time. And I don't think, you know, you've options to either do that and be able to deal with it. And it's much easier said than done.
Yeah. That's for
Much
sure.
easier said than done. But like I said, you have to want to get help.
Yeah, sometimes there is definitely a thing to like wanting to stay in your trauma. It feels familiar, easy to self-pity, all those things, rather than just say, you know, something, fuck this. I'm gonna change things around. You know, I'm gonna do what I could, at least to change things around. And I can't. What happened to me, I can't control, but my reaction towards it, I could.
You can, and I think a lot of it too is I think there's a stigma around like going to therapy and getting help and doing things, and there just isn't. Like you not getting help and making a bad decision is way worse. You not dealing with it and doing something drastic. Like when I was doing my own shit, we partied our nuts off in Los Angeles, like nuts off, so hard.
You do not have nuts anymore. They're
No,
off.
I still have nuts. I think I still have nuts. I have to look. It's been like 12 hours. You know, and you realize that it's not even just trauma. It's insecure. A lot of it's insecurity. A lot of it's like self-worth. A lot of those things. Like the reason why people go to things is because you self-medicate any way you can.
Right.
Like when you're not actually taught how to self-soothe, you know, or do things to give you tools for it, or any version of spirituality, like certain people turn to Judaism, right?
Yeah.
And when it doesn't work, where do they go? Right?
Drug.
Exactly. And when they turn to this, where do they go? And then the path just keeps getting darker and darker instead of like, you know, using those things. Like, look, when Keith passed away, you know, my rabbi is Rabbi Ari Herzog and Hannah Herzog in Encino. They're fantastic. They really fucking were there. Like,
Wow.
And I think you need people to be there and know that it's okay to have people there.
Yeah.
Right. And just also know it's okay for when you don't need to be places if you're not feeling it. And I think there's a lot of force, and especially in the Jewish community, I think they force people to be places a lot more than they need to be. Like in shame, like, oh, well, you don't want to come to this. I'm not feeling that today.
Right.
And I know that I'm not going to be in a good place if I'm there, but they still make you do it. And they wonder why you're fucking pissed at them, or they wonder why you got resentment, or they wonder those things. It's easy. If someone is truly having a trauma response, if someone is truly having an issue, if someone is truly needing it, give them a way to like not have to do it.
I'll tell you what I love about you. I actually feel a certain kinship with you, and what you say resonates a lot, specifically because you're obviously in a lot of ways, you're a tough motherfucker in a lot of ways. And you have that old school mentality in a lot of ways, but you're also very up to date as far as the focus on mental health and the focus of treating that side, that emotional side to yourself that was largely ignored by the old school, you know?
Yeah.
And I like the balance that you kind of strike. I think that's, for me, at least something that I aspire towards. So I like that.
Dude, I wish it for everyone. Like, look, there's nothing wrong with being emotional.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with dealing with your emotions. There's nothing wrong with, man, I held my tears for so long with Heath. And I remember it was right on his birthday. And I was dating this girl and she kind of like posed me, and it was like, there's like a bunch of different factors at once. Remember when I told you, where I say like, trust your gut?
Yeah.
And I didn't trust my gut because I was dealing with that other stuff, and that got me in trouble. That's the giant combination of shit that hit me at once. And I just lost my shit. Like, and I started crying, and I was like, I just started coming out of nowhere. And you just start like, I don't know. You feel like you're out of your body when you're not dealing with it.
Out of control.
It's not even out of control. It's just like, I'd say it is, because it wasn't like an uncontrolled thing. It was like my body took over control.
Yeah,
like,
right. I was like,
my
I've had enough.
subconscious was like, you're done. Like, you're done doing this. You're going to deal with this, and you have to listen to yourself when it's that time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We've been talking on this pod already about earlier about masculinity. and how like there's a lot of politics that just got involved with gender roles in this. And all that aside, like masculinity as a thing, whoever's expressing it is a beautiful thing, but part of masculinity, part of a strong, beautiful masculinity has got to be has to include tears and has to include sadness and anger and those things need to be processed. I think that, you know, I've definitely dealt with like shame around just being sad.
Wow, dude, if you're sad, you're sad. If you're happy, you're happy. There's no shame around being happy. Why is there shame around being sad? They're just two opposite sides
I think
of emotion.
society, there's this like toxic, I'm sure in LA you got this, like positive vibes only. Like,
Man, also here's the thing.
such bullshit.
Here's the thing. Fuck what everyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Right.
Like honestly, fuck what everyone else thinks. At the end of the day, you're going to have emotional responses to things. At the end of the day, a weak male is a dangerous male. And a weak male does not have control over his emotions.
Yeah.
Those are the guys who hit people. Those are the guys who act out. Those guys who do it. I don't have that luxury to be weak. If this is the crazy thing you're here, like I cannot be weak. Like you are not allowed to do that, right? And I mean weak in the sense of like, oh, Matt, no. I'm not allowed to be that weak of a person that I can't show my emotions. I'm not allowed to be that weak of a person that I can't cry in front of people. I'm not allowed to be that weak of a person that I won't give someone a hug and give them
Because
a kiss.
that is a weakness.
Because that's a huge weakness.
Masquerading as a
saying you
strength.
can't do that.
No, I'm saying like I
can't afford to.
I can't afford to. Like I mean, for me, it's like I'll give you a giant hug. I'll give you a kiss on the cheek. I'll tell you I love you. Like I'm weak if I don't do that.
Right.
And instead of you thinking it's a strength to be like, oh, it's this thing. No, you're just repressing emotion.
I mean, Brene Brown talks about this a lot. Real courage is showing real vulnerability because that's the scariest thing to do is to show true vulnerability. Most men are scared more of showing real vulnerability than they are of anything because they can't admit that they're uncomfortable or
That's what I mean. You cuddle,
have
man.
weakness. Exactly. Me and Zach.
I hope you guys spoon.
Yeah, totally.
I
We
have
cuddle.
no problem in showing my vulnerabilities, man. I hope if I can be an example for people to see like, well, he can do it,
Yeah.
then maybe other people are going to do it.
You know,
That might be the most badass thing about you.
Dude, it's the truth. There's no fear in it. Like here's the thing, live in the uncomfortable. It's as cliche as it sounds, live in the uncomfortable. But the other part too is like, if me airing out that I'm having a bad day, or me telling people that I'm hurting inside because I miss my best friend, or me saying something and speaking out and actually using social media as a proper platform to tell people there's other people, or letting them know like if you're having naughty thoughts, or having bad thoughts or things that aren't going to work, or you're wanting to do self-harm, call someone, get some help.
Yeah.
Or if you're having issues with alcohol, like things you can do to share instead of just, sharing novelty things. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy funny stuff on Instagram and all the rest of it. But I think if you got at least a sizable platform to show people that like, it's okay. Like it's okay to feel that way. It's okay. And I don't care if I'm vulnerable. Everyone thinks vulnerability is a problem. Cool. What do you have on me in that case? If I tell you what I got, if I tell you that I don't feel good and I tell you that's shitty, you have no cards.
Yeah.
When you hold it in and you start doing bad stuff, that's it.
Yeah, that's so well said. I also think another thing, Zach, that you were saying before, which I agree with you 100%, that the reason why has to be a part of masculinity is because the truth always has to be a part of whatever it is. What that means is that you can't deny the truth. Masculinity, if someone is denying the fact that they're feeling A, B, and C and cannot feel their emotions, that's a truth that they're ignoring. So it has to be that it's part of masculinity because that is an actual reality that exists within humans.
Right, so they're trying to ignore the reality.
It's got to be part of it. I just think, like you were saying, control of your emotions is also in certain times. I do think this at times is pushing through your emotions and coming back to them also at a later date.
100%. I think there are times where you have to be strong. I think there are times where you have to use tools even to do it. I think there's time and place for things.
Yeah.
I don't think it's appropriate to have to lose your shit in public. And I think there's times where you got to hold it and walk
Even
away.
though it's so much fun.
I know, but like, look, I got agitated. I got agitated with someone a couple weeks ago, and it's like agitated, where this person just kept like, it was just a lot. And
So who the hell would agitate you?
No,
It's a bad idea. Was it another black belt? Like,
no. It was a situation in which like a guy was having a conversation with a woman that was really inappropriate, and I just kept telling him to stop and chill, and he just didn't. And then I had to control my emotions because I like very simple rules: don't fuck with kids, don't fuck with women, don't fuck with dogs, don't fuck with the Jews. We're pretty good at that
But
point.
cats can go fuck themselves.
I don't mind cats, but I don't
Why dogs though? What's
I
the
love dogs.
Who bothers dogs?
He's
People
mistreat dogs.
People mistreat dogs, kill them, you cut them up, like fuck them.
You think Michael? Where do you think Michael Vick didn't come out of a vacuum?
That's been happening forever. Like I work checking out how many dog rescues there. There's dogs that are taken up and they're
Oh, I
thrown in
forgot you do
shelters.
dog rescue. I wanted to ask about that. Can you speak a little about the dog rescue? I mean,
Can we jump into that in a second? Can we just finish
sorry.
this?
Yeah,
It's
I'm sorry,
fine.
sorry,
I will get to
sorry.
it.
Yeah.
You were saying.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You were saying.
Which part? Because he got me in the dog rescues.
Okay, go to the dog rescue.
So,
No.
okay, final year. I started thinking about dogs.
We're saying those four things. You don't.
don't fuck-
like,
yeah.
don't fuck with them. So like when a dude's put his hand on a woman or he's getting aggressive or stuff like that, like I think it's incumbent upon men to step in. I
Yeah.
think it's incumbent upon men to be better be better than other men.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think it's incumbent upon someone to say something or get in. So I had to calm myself down because my initial response would have been, I'm just gonna go beat the fuck out of this guy. But instead, I did it properly, resolved the situation, separation took place, it's fine. But there's sometimes where you have to control that very quickly and not be reactionary. So
Right.
that's where the point comes in. Yeah, you have to control your emotions, but I think there's like a separation between the two.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. My point is that I think that we throw out cliche lines. I think there's a very fine balance that's very hard to take in this whole thing. If we're talking about what true masculinity is in general, there's a fine line of listening to your emotions, being vulnerable, but at the same time doing that appropriately, and having in a certain way a tough side also to. You got to get things done sometimes, and you got to shut things down. So
Just as long as you're making some space.
yeah, 100%. That's very, very necessary.
Can we get to the dog?
Yeah, let's talk. Tell me
Let's
about
talk
dog
about dogs.
rescuing.
All right, so I have a rescue dog. Her name is Gracie. I've had her for 8 years now. It's crazy to think that way, going on 9. And in the middle of the pandemic, this organization called LaBelle Foundation. Actually, my friend Jazzy DeLesser, she's an actress from the UK. She posted, I was like, hey, connect me with them. I didn't know that, but I'm really close friends with LaBelle's now. They're amazing. And I took a litter of 14 puppies and their mother. And that was my first litter I had. I took them all the way from a day that they were a day old when I got to me till they were 8 weeks. And all of them were adopted. And
You
I
had 14 puppies running
I
around
had
this?
14 puppies upstairs in my room with their mother, and she was feral, so it took me like 5 days for her to get her to trust me. So I'd like walk in there, but the problem was they didn't tell me they were originally supposed to bring like 6 puppies. There was 14, and the mother.
When did you get them?
This was March of 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, when everything was going
You're
shit.
still here?
No, they're all gone.
Oh, okay.
That means, dude, you were quarantining with 14 puppies.
That's
Craziest thing
wild.
ever. So then I kept the heat on and just dealt with it every day. And then after that, I had another litter and then another litter. And then I have this puppy and that puppy and this mom and this one needed help. And then after it came down, I think I'm like close to 200 fosters I've had since 2020.
I love that.
It's unbelievable.
love
What
that.
is that? What is that? In fairness, I'll be honest, I don't have that warmth per se like you have towards dogs or other people do. Because I didn't grow up with it. It's just
monster.
not there. Huh?
Joke.
Yeah, no, I don't care how big I'm able to be honest about it. It's just not there.
So
what is that?
I think you need to think about it in a different way.
Please, go ahead.
What if I told you that the warmth that you would feel for a dog if you're fostering it is going to make someone's house a home and someone's heart whole?
Say that one more time.
So if you foster a dog
Mm-hmm.
and you're saving the dog's life, you're actually potentially saving someone else's life.
How is that?
Because a lot of times animals provide a space for someone. Like Gracie saved my life technically because I was partying all the time. When I got Gracie, I had a reason to come home.
Right.
Every dogs and animals give more than people know. And you just have to understand that. So I think if you looked at it in perspective that if I foster this dog and I know it's going to go to a good home,
Then it's going to help someone else.
help someone else.
Aha. That is very cool.
I'm getting emotional even thinking about it, but I saw
That's
a
food for
video
thought.
on TikTok recently where a woman,
And not only that, sorry, go ahead.
this woman, she got sexually abused or she had an attacker on like a street in her community. And she avoided that street for like a year. And then one day she like took her dog for a walk. She's like, I'm going to walk that street. I'm going to face and she like pauses in the middle because she's just like, feeling all this
Shooken.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And the dog like comes over to her and she starts filming because the dog just like picked up on it, like looked up at her, like stood on her feet to like keep her grounded. It was like crazy. Like they sense
Dude, dogs understand
sadness.
it. Like when I was having a rough one, when I was like probably like 7 years ago, 8 years ago when I first got Gracie, I was just having a rough one. I think I had low serotonin, just whatever. And I was just crying on my couch. And Gracie came up and she just put her paw right on me. And it's like, okay, like you tell me there's something that's not there at that moment. And it's hard to realize that that's what they do. Like they actually give people grounded nature.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I also like what you said. Hot is quickly growing on me because we can only be in so many places at once.
Right.
So if you're able to help other people via someone else, that's actually pretty cool.
Oh my God, if you get labeled into the dog fostering world, I'm going to laugh my head
No,
off.
my friends.
If Lego fosters a dog, I will literally do a backflip.
No, my friends will not allow me. Like, they'll just be like, because I have 232 dogs in the house all at the same time.
You'll get obsessed.
You won't.
No,
You'll
I'm,
start with one.
I'm similar like you. If I get my head in something, there's no.
Yeah, but one at a time's better. Like I do the extremes
I
because
know.
I know I've handled dogs.
I know.
I wouldn't exactly say like, well, I've never run around dogs where we go get a pit bull and 12 puppies.
But if you ask my friends, like we started this podcast somewhere recently, and I've upped the ante. Like whatever I do,
This
all
thing
right,
ramped up so fast.
How's the next how's the best doing it? Like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And that's my
I
personality.
just saw you get everything organized, and it was like what? No, I thought the setup was going to take no time. You're like laser pointing the camera,
Yeah,
make
'cause-
sure shit's organized. It's good.
Because you know why the production's going to come out fire, and you're going to be like, oh, that's why.
I'm not. I just watch your stuff. The only one that didn't come out a fire was where you were laying on your back on your bed talking about the babysitter. That
then- that did well. That one did well.
I just see if I bring that back up. He said off camera. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. I did not say that off camera.
Exclusive, baby.
I'm joking. But
No, I was actually going to ask you, obsessive natures like myself and yourself, a lot of times are addicted personalities as well. You struggle with that at all?
not at all.
How's that? Also the mental toughness of,
I just don't have an addictive personality. No. I set a time that I stopped drinking. Like I don't have to drink. When I stopped doing like all drugs, I just stopped doing it. Like I just wake up and I go, okay, I'm done.
interesting.
He's disciplined also.
Yeah, that's what I think
a
it
lot
is.
of
I
discipline
think
there.
the discipline is what it is. Because the obsessive nature, a lot of times, also, I think maybe I'm making a mistake on this because the addiction comes, like we've spoken about. We spoke with a bunch of people on the pod. I think the addiction comes from the pain space of
Yes.
no vulnerability, not being willing to face your emotions, and burying all that
Exactly.
emotion.
Exactly.
But he's not doing that. He's
Right.
expressing it.
If you're not escaping from your
Confronting it.
emotions, then you usually
less
don't.
likely.
You can enjoy things that are addictive without them becoming addicted to them.
Because you're not burying that.
I mean, you might become addicted to God of War 2, but
I mean, that's a short-term addiction.
short term. Yeah.
Short-term.
Debilitating, but short term.
Completely.
Last thing.
Yeah, I'm done by this.
Last thing.
Yeah.
You are very involved in the celebrity world. That's you clearly are hanging out with some big people. How did that happen? What was your first big breakthrough into that world?
I was a talent agent.
He's a talent
Yeah.
agent, right? That's what it was, right?
So easiest answer.
I guess my question is how you even got to managing big people.
Lots of abuse. Straight up.
What do you mean by that? Lots of abuse.
Man, have you ever read the book The Mailroom?
I have not.
Go pick it up and read it.
Oh, that's where you worked. You got shit
I
on.
didn't start in the mailroom. I started on a desk. And then actually my first boss became one of my best friends. My second boss is fucking legendary. So I'm not going to say anything bad because we'll watch this. Hi, Tony. But it's a lot, man. It's a lot of suffering.
You took a lot of shit.
It's not just a lot of shit. It's a lot of hours. It's nonstop. You get paid nothing. So you have to have a second job. I didn't take money from my parents. I worked in nightlife too. So I literally work all day, work all night, come back in the morning, do the exact same thing until you get promoted to agent. And that's
Promoted to
agent.
How many years did you do that type of
I
schedule?
did it in 22 months, which is not normal. But I'm also
Short.
not normal. So
No,
Right.
that's pretty apparent.
well, there's a lot of politicking and moving and value, and I started signing people off the desk, and I just had a little more leverage than most. So
Are you a huge entourage guy?
it's fine. I love
that show. Come
I
on.
loved it.
You're not giving that credence.
Here's the thing. I love it, and I love Doug Ellen. Shout out Doug.
Yeah.
Who also is an awesome Jew and a talented writer. I love it. I think unfortunately you couldn't make that now. And that's what upsets me about it.
But that's sad.
Yeah, that's why I said it's
In
upsetting.
The Office, why do you think not? Because of Ari Gold's character?
I just don't think you can make, I think people are too sensitive.
Right. Like The Office as well.
I would cry if they didn't have The Office.
I know.
Or Parks and Recreation.
We just actually interviewed a kid over here. His name is David Mazouz, who did an episode in The Office. I mean, his real thing is that he played Bruce Wayne in Gotham.
Yeah, but it's funny because he was like, he played Bruce Wayne in Gotham, but then when Label heard he was on one
No, I know
episode
David.
of.
He's a good dude.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Such a
funny.
nice kid, but
kid.
Oh, he's a sweet kid. Yeah.
You know, but why? That's a big deal to play an
I
episode
know, it's
of
just funny
Office.
to some people. It's like
Man,
one episode of
keep
Office
it
is way cooler
better,
than anything else.
dude. And
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Dude, it's way huge.
What is way huge?
Like being on The Office.
Yeah, one
You're
episode.
immortal.
Or Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec with
Yeah.
Parks. I love Ron Swanson. He's a great character.
Love Von Swanson.
Unbelievable.
And what's her? Who's the girl? The
Leslie Nope.
No, who
April?
plays April. Yeah, who plays?
Oh my God.
What is her name?
Why am I blanking on this? Not.
She's Aubrey Plaza.
What's her name?
If
Her character was the fucking
On what?
On Parks
Did you
and
not see
Rec.
Parks
On Parks and Rec, yeah.
But
Dude,
bro,
Ron
Aubrey Plaza, the
Swanson-
human being, the celebrity, go watch any interview with her. Any interview. She doesn't give a single fuck. She's hilarious.
She's on point.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Remy, first of all, to you, thank you so much for opening up your house to us and then being willing to sit down with us and trusting us, to share your stuff.
Back and you guys are much larger. We'll come do it again.
Hell
100%,
yeah.
we're going to do it again.
We plan on it.
Absolutely.
Remy, it's been a pleasure.
So yeah, thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed, truly.
By the way, don't forget about
we
Doc
can-
Johnson and also moreover, just because I want to
Yeah,
remember.
we give you a plug also.
Yeah, wait one
Insta.
second. It's ENA Tax Advisors. It's Certified Tax Advisors. I think it's Ellie at
Time out.
certifiedtaxadvisors.com.
How do you remember that?
What?
How do you remember
He's
all
paying
that?
attention.
I paid attention.
Did you write it down?
No, I didn't.
No, that's good.
So I just want to share that. Make sure I've not used the tax services, but apparently they're great. So make sure you don't do that. Also, if you need pleasure products, shop.docjohnson.com.
Doc Johnson.
For everything you need.
I love
shop.docjohnson.com.
I love that a from kid from like Queens, New York that went to Chofetz Chaim is like getting a shout out from a sponsorship.
Extra sexy.
on like that's awesome.
We do it all here, folks. We do it all.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. I hope you enjoy. Any other plug? What's your handle?
Handles Remy.Franklin on Instagram. And check out Thomas Ashbourne at thomasashbourne.com if you like it. Fresh Fine Wine. It's also the wine company too. PrivéRevo.com.
There we go.
Wildcat Skincare, Man Face. Plant Ash by Ashley Benson.
Wow.
And keep going, but it probably
Do the dogs have an Instagram?
The dogs are just LaBelle Foundation. The LaBelle
Okay.
Foundation is a great foundation. I love them. Also, Paul's Art's great, and the Love Rescue as well. I support
Love
them.
it.
Love it.
Love
Okay.
it. Guys, hope you enjoyed. See you next week.
Peace out.